I shared with you 2 of the 7 tough questions progressives want answered at the Democratic presidential debate. Emily Atkin putting these together over at the Think Progress blog. I would add one to this, by the way, and maybe this is on here. As we go through them, I'll share them with you, but I don't think it is. Where is the progressive equivalent of Hugh Hewitt in the panel that is questioning? When they were questioning right-wing Republicans, they had a right-wing talk show host on who could frame questions in the context of the Republican conservative worldview. And he asked some very good and some very pointed questions that were very, that were meaningful to the Republican electorate. Where is the progressive who is going to ask those questions tonight? Now, Hugh Hewitt works for Salem Broadcasting, which is, owned by the company that publishes Bibles. And, he and his fellow travelers have been subsidized for years by this company. CNN actually has a number of employees who are, potentially really, really good. Potentially, good questioners. Van Jones, I put at the top of that list. Van Jones has been an employee of CNN for several years since he was on Crossfire. And, apparently continues to be, because when they have him on, they credit him as a CNN contributor, which means he's being paid. So why is he not going to be on the questioning panel tonight coming up with questions? Van Jones is a real progressive who really understands these issues. Anyhow, that's my question. Or why not the #1 progressive talk show host in America? Okay, here's number 3. What would you do to prevent the racially charged attacks on the right to vote? That's from Sean McElwee, research associate at Demos. This is from Eric Pica, president of Friends of Earth Action. When you step into office, will you commit to use your authority to immediately end the leasing of public fossil fuels in the United States? I'd say, of fossil fuel drilling on public lands. Here's number 5. This is from Ms. Kiefer, policy analyst, or MS Kiefer, policy analyst at Advocates for Youth. What will you do to ensure that young people maintain access to critical healthcare services despite growing conservative attacks on birth control, abortion, and other services? Number 6, this is from Zeli Imani of Black Lives Matter, and also a teacher in New Jersey. And she says, will they work to eliminate all mandatory minimum drug sentences, and how would they allocate federal funds and specifically design programs to prevent recidivism? And then the 7th question is from Ian Palmquist, Director of Leadership Programs for the Equality Federation. What would your administration do to make sure young LGBT youth are getting educated, not incarcerated? These are serious questions. Good stuff. It's, if it wasn't for Debbie Wasserman Schultz, America would have been treated to a lot of these kind of questions before now, and we would have had an opportunity. Americans, average working class Americans, would have had an opportunity to see the clear contrast between Republican positions and Democratic positions. But tragically, Debbie Wasserman Schultz thinks that this is the thing to do to get Hillary Clinton elected so that Debbie will become what? Speaker of the House? Secretary of State? I don't know. I don't know what's on her plans. But, I mean, she was with Clinton to the bitter end in 2008, and it looks like it's going to stay this way in this cycle. And I just personally don't think that, I have no problem with people being partisan or being, advocates for an individual candidate. But when you run the Democratic Party, for example, the Sanders campaign, to the best of my knowledge, I may be wrong on this, but I've read 2 accounts of this now. I didn't hear this from anybody inside the Sanders campaign. But has said to the DNC, hey, we're pulling 20,000 people to this event. Do you want to set up a table to register people to vote? And the DNC said, no, thanks. Really? I mean, hundreds of thousands of people have attended Bernie's rallies, and the DNC never even set up a table and said, hey, you want to register to vote? Are you registered to vote? These are all Democratic voters. Oh, but they might vote for Bernie over Hillary. We can't have that. There's something fundamentally wrong with that.